A very long time ago, many centuries before our world looked the way it does today, there lived a man named Jonah. Jonah was a prophet, a messenger chosen by God. And one day, God spoke to him and gave him an important mission. "Go to the great city of Nineveh," God said. "Tell the people to stop doing all the bad things they are doing." But Nineveh was a violent city, filled with cruel and dangerous people. And Jonah was afraid. The mission seemed far too big for one man. Friends, sometimes in life, God calls us to do things that feel impossible. Sometimes his plans seem bigger than our courage. But God always sees a bigger picture than we do. So friends, it's totally okay to say yes to God even when we are scared. But Jonah did not. Instead of trusting God, Jonah ran away. In those ancient days, great wooden ships carried travelers across the sea. And Jonah went to Joppa and hopped on a ship going to Tarshish, sailing as far away as he could. At first, the waters were calm. But before long, dark clouds gathered over the sea. The wind began to rise. Then it roared. Thunder cracked across the sky. Waves crashed against the ship, and a terrible storm began to shake the vessel. The sailors shouted in fear as lightning flashed across the ocean. Everyone knew something was wrong. Finally, Jonah admitted the truth. "I ran away from God," he said softly. The sailors were shocked. Jonah told them the storm would stop if they threw him into the sea. The men didn't want to do it, but the storm became worse and worse. Finally, they threw Jonah into the raging water. And instantly, the storm stopped. But Jonah began sinking deeper and deeper into the dark ocean. Then, suddenly, a giant fish appeared. Its enormous mouth opened wide, and whoosh! Jonah was swallowed whole. Inside the belly of the fish, everything was dark and quiet. Jonah stayed there for 3 days and 3 nights. At first, it may have seemed like something terrible had happened. But the fish was not only punishment, it was rescue. God did not abandon Jonah in the ocean. He saved him. Sometimes, when hard things happen in our lives, we think God has forgotten us. But sometimes, God is protecting us, guiding us, and giving us another chance. Inside the fish, Jonah prayed. He finally understood that God loved him too much to let him keep running away forever. Then God commanded the fish, and boom! The fish spit Jonah safely back onto dry land. And guess what? God spoke to Jonah again. God gave him a second chance. This time, Jonah obeyed. He travelled to Nineveh and warned the people that they needed to change their ways. And something amazing happened. The people listened. The entire city repented. From the king to the common people, they humbled themselves before God. And because they turned away from evil, God showed mercy. But Jonah became angry. He didn't think the people deserved forgiveness. So Jonah sat outside the city, upset and frustrated. Even then, God was patient with him. God caused a leafy plant to grow over Jonah, giving him cool shade from the hot sun. Jonah was happy about the plant. But the next day, the plant withered away. Jonah became angry all over again. Then God gently taught Jonah an important lesson. "Jonah," God said, "if you care this much about a little plant, shouldn't I care even more about thousands of people?" You see, God loves people. He gives second chances. He forgives. He guides us, even when we make mistakes. And even when difficult things happen, God can still use them for something good. The story of Jonah is not really about a whale. It's about God's mercy. It's about obedience. It's about second chances. And it's about a loving God who never stops caring for his children. No matter how far we run, God can still bring us back home. And just like Jonah, God still has a purpose for you too. So, my friends, we can trust God, even when he leads us to do things that seem frightening. We can trust his plan, even when bad things happen, because truly God knows best, and he is always working out a beautiful, grand plan for you. So tell me, friends, what did you learn from the story of Jonah?
Jonah, Jonah. He was a man that stayed 3 days in the belly of a fish. He prayed to God and God heard him. Jonah, Jonah. His name was Jonah. Jonah, Jonah. He was a man that stayed 3 days in the belly of a fish. He prayed to God and God heard him. Jonah.